Hi everyone, Patty here with a flip through of my first 5 prompts for Dephemerember. I will be using a recipe book that I picked up from the thrift store as I wanted to use a 3-ring binder as Louisa and Barbara are using. I don't have the cover done yet, but do plan on using a door that I made or one that I trade for. We will see. Day 4, a butterfly and 3 torn things. My scrap partner is Darcy at Darcy's Mixed Media, and she sent me the scraps that this page is created with. The pocket is a beautiful butterfly with a tag inside. Day 5, salvage birds. My background papers are more beautiful papers from Darcy, along with a handmade stamp I made following a tutorial from Barbara. I had to save these stamps from my kitty who loves to run into my craft room, grab something, and run out before he's caught. So these birds are survivors from the stamp theft, or should I say salvage from the kitty's mouth. Day 6, selfie and a bubble. I used some background papers from my Etsy store with a pouring medium. The cells looked like bubbles to me. The drawing of myself and a family portrait is a picture my granddaughter drew for my husband's birthday this year. I used the family portrait as a journaling card and the picture of me in a specimen card. Day 7, clocks and wings. I used a new mold I had just got to make the clock with hot glue, painted black and added gilding wax to highlight the numbers. I have a die cut of feathers, so I cut out different feathers and old book pages and watercolored a few along with a stencil I had of feathers. Layered the feathers together to make a wing. Day 11, Halloween meets Christmas. I don't do traditional holidays, so I'm changing the prompt today to be my favorite, Steampunk. I have a piece of cardboard that I have handy in a box of scrap cardboard with distress inks ready to be used. Plus, I have another clock from the new mold I just got. I want to figure out a layered piece that I can layer onto my cardboard with the clock being the center focal point. This is my container of findings, buttons, gears, so I'm looking for pieces that might work to add to this piece of cardboard. I have this old piece of jewelry with 3 flowers and a bird with jewels that I want to hang off the center of the clock, like a pendulum from the center of the clock. Maybe a smaller key at the bottom of the pendulum would look good. I will put these pieces together with jump rings later. I keep adding pieces onto the cardboard to get the desired look with the scale of my piece. If I add a gear up top, I try to add a couple to the bottom. The bottom has a shank on it. Instead of cutting it off, and I push it through the cardboard to make it more stable. This really is the fun part of the whole process, trying to see where everything will fit and to make it pleasing to the eye. Usually after I make a piece like this, I paint the whole thing black with black gesso and highlight with gilding wax. But my cardboard is already colored and my center clock is already highlighted, and I don't want to lose the jewels on the bird or the flowers from this piece of old jewelry. So I decided to try something different and just glue the pieces down. Sometimes I take a picture of how I want it to look before I take it all apart to start gluing. But this time I just winged it and added the pieces with glue after I dumped them all off of it. The clock is raised up with a couple of the gears halfway under it, so I need to make sure it has a gear at several different places to keep it from rocking. Here's where I pushed the button through the cardboard to keep it stable. The little findings that I have, I want a couple of them placed upside down so I can add some beads to them when it dries, and I'll do that later. Just keep layering my pieces and keep adding. I've got a heart on one side, so then I put a heart on the other side. If I put 2 gears up on bottom, then I try to put a gear up on top. Adding a few gears underneath to make sure that that bigger piece is stable. Here's where I'm adding the findings or the bead caps that are going to have the beads in them. I have my container of jump rings out, and I put the 3 pieces of jewelry together to be my pendulum for my clock. I let this dry and added a little silver gilding wax around the edges to highlight the gears and pieces. A little of the silver gilding wax goes a long way, so I just try to do a little highlight around the edges. This piece is going to have several different colors, where my cardboard on back has some oxide inks in the blues, and then my center clock has some gilding wax in the firebird and the peacock color, teal color. I've got silver gears and silver findings. So the silver gilding wax around the edges just kind of tied it all together. We need something to anchor this piece onto the background, which is a piece of cardstock with clocks in a black and tan color. I searched my scrap basket of pieces to see what Darcy had sent me that would work good for the backing of my stencil steampunk piece. I love this piece of material that is on a piece of acetate. The colors look good with my other page of clocks and wings. Oh, this web piece is beautiful, and I want to try it on my jelly plate. She sent 2 pieces, a large piece and a smaller piece. I could layer it onto the back, but it really is just too cool of a piece. I think I'll hoard it for a while. I have a different piece of a webbing look piece, and it is kind of a tan color that goes well with my background cardstock. I want the smaller piece of the webbing to fit in the indented area of the cardboard. I have a few beads in blue and teal, and I use glossy accent to fill the bead caps with and add a few of the beads. My spoon is too small for putting the beads onto the glossy accents, so I used my finger and got beads everywhere. I moved it over to a piece of scrap paper and tried to get the beads into the small area that I wanted them to be. I let the beads dry and glue my background pieces onto my cardstock. I had beads going every which way. I just wanted them in one little tiny bead cap here on the top and down at the bottom. After it dries, I can turn it over and the beads will fall out where there's not any glue. I like this look and start cutting my pieces to fit. I first thought to make this a belly band, and I only glued it on the top and the bottom. But when I added the webbing, I glued it down and there is no belly band, but there is a place for a tag later, I find out. I've got to see if Darcy has a video on making that laminated piece. Well, I don't think it's really laminated. I think it's just material onto a piece of acetate. It is gorgeous. I like the jeweled pendulum hanging down off the clock. Gives it a 3D effect. Now I'll glue this down onto my background. I glued my cardboard piece down and hope I didn't. Oh, no, here's where I realize what I had done to my belly band. Oh, I do have a little area on the bottom that I could add a tag. I glued my cardboard piece down and hope I didn't mess up my tag spot. I want to add a little sari silk to the tag and stencil a few gears. I don't want the tag to be too busy and take away from my focal point. I have this stencil with gears. I don't know where it came from, and I've had it for a while. And when I tried to Google it, there are lots of gear stencils. I'm just using Distress ink and walnut and put a light coat over the top of it. I stapled the silk onto the tag, and I really don't like all the staples I added. One wasn't good enough, so I think I did about 5, crisscrossing them. Bad idea. That's a finger getter. This beautiful sari silk, and I use staples and staple it all up. I could have thought that out a little better. The color of this teal sari silk matches the teal in my, well, I'll call it my belly band. That's not a belly band. It really went together nice, and it ties nicely with the clocks and wings from the page before. I decided to journal on the back of my tag to give the prompt and the date of this project. I really have to do something with this staple mess that I made on this beautiful sari silk. I have a die cut leftover piece of gears, so I cut a little piece of it and distressed it up with the walnut stain and added it to the top of the staples. That worked a little better. At least it won't be such a finger getter if you try to pull it in and out. I hope you're having as much fun as I am with Dephemerember 2023. I can't wait for day 12. Have a great day, and I can't wait to see what you guys make.